Okay, we are recording Team Legacy Fit call June 25th, 2020. And today's topic is expanding your network and adding followers and initiating connections. But before we start, I want to start with some shout outs. So shout out to Meredith for getting halfway to Emerald. So she's got
Thanks.
first
On my way
up, and she's hard at work looking for more people, and she's asking questions. So there's a shout out to you.
Thanks.
And anyone else have any shout outs they want to add?
Well, I just want to say I really love your posts, Marcy. Like, you just are so good at being like so personal and vulnerable, but the way you do it is very much not like I'm sharing this because I have a purpose. It's just like I'm sharing this because it's who I am, and I just really love that about your posts.
Thank you, and congratulations on being halfway to Emerald.
Thanks.
Marcy is a rock star when it comes to posting. So
Agreed.
That is something that is really challenging for me because my brain just gets tired. It just gets exhausted, and it's like the biggest relief when I like finally get the post the way I want it to. And we'll talk about that later because that's something that I am working to improve on myself. My coach Brooke always says, done is better than perfect. And that's hard for me to wrap my head around because my whole career has been based on being perfect. For those who don't know, I work in clinical research, various pharmaceutical companies and medical device companies. And my job is about collecting data and making sure that it's reviewed and it's accurate. And the data that we review has to be perfect. So it's not easy for me to accept things coming out of my department that aren't perfect. So, but that's something I'm working on. But anyway, not today's topic. Today's topic is making connections with people and building your network. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys, and I want you guys to write this down. This is not a sales business. This is a relationship business, okay? The people who are going to do business with you, the people who are going to bring you on to be your coach, whether it be for their own personal fitness or whether it's to join your team as a coach themselves, are going to do so for one specific reason, because they feel a connection to you. They've built that relationship with you. Now, there may be the stray outlier that just sees a post and is like, okay, you know, I need to get fit, and this guy's as good as the next, or this girl is as good as the next. But that very rarely happens. The vast majority of people who join your team are going to have to watch you for a while. And that's where like Marcy's great posts are going to help her, because people are going to feel like they know Marcy before she even reaches out to them, or in between times where she reaches out to them. But outside of your posts, it's extremely important to build connections. And that's not just messaging people to invite them to challenge groups or invite them to coach sneak peeks or whatever. It's connecting with people, and it's building that relationship to the point where they know you. Talk about things, find people who are common to you, who have commonalities to you, who are part of your niche, and just talk to them like a regular human. Like go at it as though you're looking to make a friend. Obviously, if you look at someone's profile and they're someone that posts a lot of things that you disagree with, and you're like, I don't really like what this person represents, then move on. Find the people that you're like, you know what, this girl's cool. This guy's cool. We have a lot in common. I think we could be friends, and make a friend. That's it. So that's like the high level goal. But how do you go about doing that? Well, for one thing, and the methods that I use to do this are different depending on the social media platform. So I'll start with Facebook. Facebook tends to be a little bit warmer of a market, even if you don't know somebody, because chances are you have a lot of common friends and you've got that connection. So it's like they're friends of someone that you do know. So when you're sending, when you're making first connections, how do you go about doing that? Well, Facebook has a feature, people you may know. So that's always the first place I start. Scroll down that feature, people you may know, do some social media stalking, and send a friend request. See who accepts. Now, generally, I look at it, I don't know, I get about 40 to 50% of the people I send a friend request to accept me back. The reason, because I only go after, I shouldn't say go after, that's a bad way of putting it, but I only look at people in that list who I have some mutual friends with. Because I feel like if I'm friends with, John, and I see Dave, and Dave has, 25 mutual friends with me, and one of them's John, well, chances are that if Dave and John have a connection, then me and Dave could have a connection. So I send that request. And then sometimes, when they accept back, you can message them and say, hey, how's it going? Thanks for accepting my friend request. Facebook had suggested you as a friend, and, I thought I'd reach out. Or you can send a description of who you are just to introduce yourself and say something like, hi, my name is Joe. I'm from Massachusetts, or say something like, thanks for accepting my friend request. My name is Joe, live in Massachusetts with my wife and my 3 boys. I work full-time at a pharmaceutical company, and my wife and I have a side business helping men and women with their fitness, reach their fitness goals. And then always end up asking them a question. So tell me about you. Where are you from? What do you do? And let them talk about them. And then that's the key. You start out, introduce yourself, or thank them for either sending you a friend request or accepting your friend request, but then you're turning it over to them. People like to talk about themselves, so avoid the temptation to over talk about yourself and be a good listener. Ask questions. Get them to talk about themselves. Even though, you want them to know about you, you're also trying to build that connection so you can learn about them. And your goal when you're reaching out to people, making connection, is to make that connection and to make a friend. Along the way, you're going to hear about, as you start asking questions, you're going to hear about different pain points that they may have. They're going to, if you're communicating back and forth, the algorithms are going to start showing your material to them more. You're going to be posting about doing your workouts. You're going to be posting about nutrition. And if they've got a pain point there, they may reach out. Or just in their mind, they may say, I wish I could work out as often as Meredith is, or something like that. Then when you go to, when you factor in your stories and you're sharing about your challenge groups and you're sharing about your coaching opportunities, sharing about the products you're using, they're already going to know about this stuff because you're sharing your journey so often between your stories and your posts, and they're going to be reading about it, that without even you inviting them, they're already going to know the gist of what you will eventually invite them to. And as they start liking your posts and continuously watching your stories, that's when you can invite them. And there's various ways, and we'll talk about inviting at a later call, but then you can invite them and it won't seem so icky because you've built that relationship. Okay. So that's one way to expand your network on Facebook. It's probably the biggest way that I use is suggested friends, but other ways, and sometimes these can be even more effective, is joining some various groups, things that you like to do. You can search in the group function, maybe you like a certain dog, or you like, Marcy's big into planting and gardening and stuff like that, so she can join a gardening group. And then build relationships within those groups. I mean, those groups exist and people join those groups to talk to other people who like that stuff. There are hiking groups, there are sports groups. I'm in a bunch of Patriots groups. Why? Because I like the Patriots and I like hearing other people's thoughts about the Patriots and I like talking about the Patriots. So you can go in those groups and post or comment on other people's posts, talk to various people, and then you'll start finding people who you feel like, hey, this person would be a cool friend. Then you go back to the process that we just described. Send them a friend request. Hey, we're both in the gardening group. I thought I loved your post the other day, so I thought I'd reach out and make a connection. And then start talking to them offline, find out about their things. Now, I'm going to post in the group later on tonight, and this is an oldie but a goodie, provided by Beachbody, and it is the relationship, the steps on building a relationship. And you may have heard of this, but it's FORM. It's called FORM. And you form a relationship, FORM. What does the F stand for? Family. So you talk about their family, ask if they're married, ask if they have kids, talk about their family. O is for occupation. What do you do? What do you do for a living? You're in a gardening group, but, unless they work at a garden center and it's very obvious, they might have another job. Maybe they're an accountant and they work in an office all day. And gardening is something totally different that they love doing. But find out what they're doing in terms of their occupation. Share, and that opens up what you can do to share about your occupation. Now, what I personally do, I kind of gloss over, unless I'm talking to somebody who does something very similar to me, I gloss over what I do for my day job. I don't want to spend too much time talking about clinical research or data management. I say I work full-time at a pharmaceutical company, and I'm also an online health and fitness coach. And that throws it out there, sort of plants a seed right there. Now they know that I have this side hustle. They know it's a side hustle, and they also know that it's what I do. So if they've already, if they have an interest in improving their health and fitness, there's already been a seed planted in their head, like, this person might know something. They might be able to help me. Doesn't mean they're going to reach out. Doesn't mean they're going to ask you any questions on it. But at least that seed has been planted. They already know that. So the next one is R, recreation. What do they like to do for fun? Talk about that. Now, if you're in a gardening group, one of the things might be gardening. If you're in a dog group or something like that, or a sports group, that might be one of the topics. But people like, to talk about other things, where are your favorite vacation spots, or if you talk about where they live. Oh, hey, what do you do for fun out in Colorado? Or something like, hey, I've been to Arizona a couple times. What are some of the things that you do for fun out there? And talk about that, see if you have a connection. And then M is your message. That can be in the form of an invite. It can be in the form of a future connection. It doesn't have to be anything related to Beachbody. What it does is segues into another contact with that person. Okay. And I will provide, I'm going to put in our team page, I'll put I'll store in the files the more detailed explanation of using the form method to build a connection. All right. So those are two big ways of making connections on Facebook. And now we'll switch to Instagram because Instagram is a little bit different. So aside from using a service to build your Instagram profile for you, there are some manual ways that you can do that. One, and a very common way or a very effective way, is to use what is called the 5-3-1 method. And the theory behind the 5-3-1 method is you locate someone, and we'll get into how to locate people, but once you locate someone who you want to build a connection with, obviously you follow them. Maybe they're not following you yet, but you follow them, and then you like 5 of their posts, comment on 3 of them, and that should lead to 1 follow back. Doesn't have to be exact. The key here, don't just like 5 posts to like 5 posts or comment on 3 posts if you really can't. I mean, if you can't comment on 3 posts, then maybe they're not the right person, or maybe they're just not they haven't been as active, and it's kind of, I don't know, it might be kind of weird if, maybe they took a hiatus from Instagram for a while and they've only got 2 recent posts, and you don't want to go back and like a post from like 2018 or something like that. But, do your best to like scope it out, see when the post was written. If it's semi-recent, then like it. But be genuine. Don't just like, oh, they posted this picture of this, like, I don't know, whatever.
Can you tell me what it is again? 5-3-1?
It's 5-3-1. And again, just use that as a guideline. 5 likes, you like 5 of their posts, and you comment on 3 of them. And then the 1 is them following you back. And if you do that enough, you'll notice that, hey, this person followed me. They liked 5 of my posts, and they commented genuinely on 3 of them. Maybe they're posting a picture of, I don't know, Cancun. And you can be like, oh my God, you looked gorgeous in that picture. Was that your honeymoon or something like that? We honeymoon there too, or something like that. Oh my God, that beach on Hawaii is my favorite. And this is authentic. My wife and I went to Kauai for our honeymoon, and Poipu Beach was my favorite beach by far. They post a picture of taking a helicopter ride. Bring up something authentic. Don't just like comment to comment. I mean, if they take a picture of, a half-eaten slice of pizza, don't just like it and say, oh yeah, peppers are my favorite topping on pizza. I don't know. That's the first lame thing I could think of. But the key is to be authentic. If you can only be authentic on 1 post, then that's it. Be authentic on 1 post. Maybe they're not the right person, but you'll find out. So that's the 5-3-1 method. Other methods of expanding your or finding these people, you can search hashtags. So think about the hashtags you use on your posts, because you pick those on your posts because they mean something to you. So search those hashtags and find other people who are using them. Or find someone like a celebrity or a sports person that you like, or a model that you like, or whoever you like, people that you follow. Because if you like them, then chances are the people who are liking and commenting on their posts or following them are going to be people that you might like, you know. One of the people I used to like was Tom Brady. And so I would often go to his posts and I would find the people who would, you know, like and comment on his posts. And then I would look at, you know, various profiles from Tom's page and see if there were connections that I wanted to make. So that's an option. You know, other things, like I said, search hashtags. So I could search twin parents or hockey parents. If I do, you know, hockey dad, then I find other hockey dads like me. And I start looking at posts and I can see, you know, maybe a hockey guy who's posting pictures of his 8-year-old son at mites practice or something like that. And I'd be like, commenting, hey, you know, I've got 2 mites too. That's an awesome photo. Or, you know, maybe, you know, he's posting my son's first goal and I can say, congratulations, I remember my kid's first goal too. It's an awesome feeling or something like that. But again, the key is to find the right people. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about, you know, oh my God, I have X amount of followers. Quality over quantity. It doesn't matter. You could have 100,000 followers. If you're not connecting with them, and if they're not people that you want to connect with, then you might as well have 0 followers. You know, I would rather have 100 followers who I've developed a strong relationship with than 100,000 who I have no idea who they are, and looking at their pages, I can't see anything that we connect with. Okay. Now, what do you do when you have these followers? Okay. And this is something that you can apply to both Facebook and Instagram. Take some time, and it's, you know, some guidance is on the business activity tracker, is to spend time building the relationships by making these connections. So a great way to do that is to watch stories. You can watch stories, and instead of looking at posts that are on their page permanently, you can't, or scrolling your news feed and getting distracted by other things, you can go directly to different people's stories and watch how things are developing through their day. Because that's where people end up being a little bit more real. When people do their post, it's their social media post, things tend to be, I don't want to say fake, but things tend to be a little bit more of a highlight reel. Like, here's the picture of the perfect picture of me and my family. We're all smiling and the sun is perfect behind us and all this, that, and the other thing. Doesn't mean it's not authentic. It just, you know, it's not always real life, where some people will post about real life. They'll talk about, you know, daily struggles or whatever. You know, oh my God, you know, I went to the supermarket the other day and had to wait in line and it was sweating out or whatever. You know, generally I'm not attracted to people who spend time complaining, but, you know, people might bring stuff up in a sort of positive way, but it's a struggle, and they might talk about how they've overcome the struggle. But it's a good way to learn more about your Facebook friends or your Instagram followers and the people you're following, and be able to relate to them. Oh my God, I had that same issue too, or something like that. And, you know, maybe you can provide some value. Hey, that happened to me too, and this is how I solved it. And just pop that in and make that connection there. And it's so simple just to send a quick message through stories. You can like sort of swipe up and you can either send an emoji or you can just send a quick message. Like somebody posts a picture of their dog. Oh my God, he's so cute. Or somebody does a picture of their young child walking for one of the first times or something like that. somebody does a poll, you can not only just check off the poll, but maybe send them a message to comment on it and build a relationship that way. You watch their stories, chances are they're going to start watching your stories more. And again, if you're sharing your journey on your story and talking, and I need to do a better job of this, of actually just sitting there with the camera in front of my face and talking about a specific topic and sharing more consistently. But if you're doing that and you're watching their stories, they're going to start watching your stories. They're going to start, and it's that whole cycle that we just talked about. They'll start to hear and they'll start to learn about the various things that you do, so that when you go to invite them, it won't be this weird thing. They'll already know that this is what you do. So that is that. What else do I want to share about Instagram connections? There's a feature in Instagram called Save Posts. And you can, if there's somebody who, you can create these different groups in your saved area. So like you could file, and this isn't the usage that Instagram intended, but it's an area where you can create sort of a folder and you can save various posts. So I think the way they envision doing it, and I think you all know how to save a post in Instagram. There's a little button at the bottom, you can click save, but you can also create folders. So maybe it would be like, I don't know, clothing, and somebody posts about clothing and you can save it to your clothing folder. I think that's the way Instagram intended it, but you could make a folder of June connections and then save, a post from Sally in that June connections. Doesn't matter what post, it just matters that Sally has a post in your June connections, because then you can open up your June connections folder and then click on all the various posts and then start looking at their story. And then you can see Sally's day in July, July 1st and July 2nd, even though she was in the June connections. You can make a folder of potential coaches or potential challengers, or however you want to do it. And then it just is a way for you to collect people in a certain folder so that you can consistently view their material and their content and continue to make the connection with them. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Let's see. So those are the ways that I use to build my followers. I don't want to get into any of the various apps and stuff like that you can use to unfollow people or follow people en masse, because I want to teach you guys to be really careful with that. You don't want to get into, I think we've talked about this before, you don't want to get into trouble with Instagram or Facebook by doing too many actions in too short a time. So just take it slow. Don't feel like you have to go from 50 followers to 50,000 followers overnight. Again, quality over quantity. If you're doing the thing consistently, Business Activity Tracker suggests doing this for 20 minutes. So for me, that's just going down Facebook suggested friends, find, and again, I don't spend a lot of time, but I'll click on some faces that I think, look nice and look like nice people. I'll click on them. I'll look at mutual friends to make sure that they're not already a coach or, a customer of a coach or something like that. Like if I open up a person and I see that they're already friends with Brooke or Randy or Erin or Marcy or Meredith, they might already be, it's very likely that they're already a coach. But if I see that they are friends with a whole bunch of people that I went to high school with, or a bunch of people that I went to college with, then chances are they're not a coach. They may still have a coach, but you learn about that stuff as you're reaching out and making connections, and you learn about them through that. So I go down and, I try to maybe find about 10 suggested friends. If I'm spending time in a group, that's more, if I'm making connections in a friend, that's like, I don't do that on a daily basis. That's more like I'm actually in the group, I'm participating in the group, and I see someone cool. I can go several days without making a friend in a group. I don't specifically go into groups to find people. I just, be part of the group. And if somebody happens to be part of the group, maybe they're a new person in the group, or maybe they're, somebody who's just posting often or commenting often, and they seem cool, then I'll send a friend request. But the vast majority for me is just the Facebook suggested friends. And then, so that pretty much gets me about half of the amount of time for within a 20-minute block. And then I'll go into Instagram and I'll just search a couple hashtags, or pick somebody who, I respect or something like that, and look at people who are connecting on their posts and who are following them. You want to look at people who are active too. You don't want to be trying to connect with somebody who hasn't posted on Instagram since 2015. Chances are they're not going to see your message for another 2 or 3 years. But not to say that they won't respond. I mean, I get that probably about once a week. I get somebody who either likes or comments back on a comment that I made, 3 years ago. And they'll be like, "Oh, thank you very much." And I'm like, "What?" And then I'll look back and it says that, I made a comment 253 weeks ago or something like that. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in terms of building connection. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the call, this is a relationship business. So focus on being authentic, making friends, and learning about other people. It's more important to be interested than interesting. So, you'll hear that a lot in personal development books, but be more interested in the other person than you want them to be interested in you. Because if somebody feels like, hey, this guy is, he's really interested in what I have to say, valuing my opinion on things and just being authentic and cool and asking all about me, chances are they're going to start to like you, and they'll start asking you questions too. But, focus more on learning about them, because that's what most people like. All right. That's all I got. Anybody have any questions?
No, that was great, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I'm doing my workout, so. Sorry, I'm off camera. I feel like I'm off
You don't
camera.
have to be off camera. We can see you working out.
Oh, all right now. Leg day. It was really hard to get motivated tonight.
We did leg day yesterday. Today was boxing though, and we had to do it at lunchtime, so it was really hot up in the attic. But it is what it is. So good job getting it done. Good job attending, both of you guys, and we'll talk next week. All right.
Thank
Good.
you.
All right. You guys have a great night, great weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk before. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.